Get ready for the dictation. Dictation will start in 5 seconds. Start. I now come to the question of reduction in fares. The Transport Advisory Council has recommended an increase in fares. The fact has to be remembered that compared to the passenger fares on the domestic services in foreign countries, passenger fares in the Indian Airlines Corporation are quite low. The fares on certain domestic sectors in Australia and the tourist class in the USA are however very low because of favorable circumstances of high utilization of equipment and personnel and high load factor. Such circumstances do not prevail in India. Before nationalization, some of the private airlines charged very low fares which were clearly uneconomic. It is true that lower fares have a better charm in attracting traffic, but expansion of traffic at lower fares, however desirable it may be as an objective, would amount to a loss. If we are losing now and if we say that we will attract more traffic by lowering the fares, the traffic might increase, but then the loss is not likely to be covered. So the fact therefore is that the Transport Advisory Council has recommended that there should be an increase in the air fares. That is the factual position in regard to the Indian Airlines Corporation, and honorable members will see that while there has been loss, it has not been of the magnitude that is mentioned, and secondly, the future improvements and that we are going to undertake would certainly reduce the depreciation costs, but we must wait in the course of time for the full traffic that would be carried by the Boeings to make them near economic. Of course, the fact always remains that in most countries airlines have to be subsidized, and I can also tell the House about the requests that they have been constantly made to me, namely that if we take away the excise duty on aviation petrol, the corporation will show a profit immediately. That can be done if we merely want to cheat the public or even for the first time lull members of Parliament into a feeling that this corporation is making a profit, but I feel that it would be much better for them to show a loss and to strive to lessen it than to gain an advantage of the type mentioned by me. This is a matter which has not been decided, and I am making a mention of it. We can easily wipe off the big loss, but that would not be the correct thing to do because government would be doing something in order to bolster up an industry which it is running. I am sorry that Mrs. Lilavati Munshi is not here because she raised the question about the working of the state undertakings. I only illustrate the point that I am not prepared to camouflage the real position by means of any secret subsidies, and if we are going to do anything of that sort, it has to be told to members of Parliament. If a state undertaking results in loss, then it is to be admitted as a loss. There are various considerations which can make us take up a certain undertaking in the state sector, and the Parliament is certainly entitled to know how it is being run. Therefore, I would like to assure the House that so far as state undertakings are concerned, we shall do our very best to see that they are run efficiently, and if they are not run efficiently or either incur losses, we shall not make any attempt to camouflage the real position so far as Parliament is concerned, because it is only by the criticism of honorable members of Parliament that the position could possibly be improved. Sir, some reference about disparities in development of different states was made just now. All that I can say is that the 8th plan has taken this matter into account, but disparities exist not merely because of neglect of government, but also because of certain natural factors. We can only try to overcome them in parts. We cannot altogether eliminate them completely. Wherever we cannot establish a big industry in one particular area, we try to supplement it by putting a number of smaller industries and creating more employment potential. This is a full task, in the fulfillment of which the Planning Commission is doubly interested, and I can assure honorable members that if there is any default, it is not because it can possibly be avoided. I think, sir, a reference was made about slum clearance and slum houses. I wish my young colleague Mr. Chandra had taken charge of it earlier, but sir, I would like to claim a little privilege in regard to this particular matter, because I am very deeply interested in this problem myself. I would refer to the recent statement made by the Honorable Minister for Urban Development in the Lok Sabha, a copy of which has been placed on the table of the Rajya Sabha, the government, and alive to the urgency of the problem. Turning to internal resources for the plan, I do not propose here to offer any detailed comments on particular tax measures or on the particular criticism as those offered by honorable members. But I wish to make it clear that the problem before us is as much of internal sources as of external resources. The only difference between the two is in terms of the degree of freedom of action that we ourselves enjoy in regard to them, because it is possible for us to raise internal resources provided a large measure of public support is coming behind it. It would not be possible even so to raise external resources, and it is the basic distinction between the two types of resources that we need. Full stop.